It is Luke Skywalker Friday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. Let us turn to the latest iteration of very easy meditation, now with updated graphics. The first of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following way, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can multiply this by 8 for a total of 96 inhalations. On our left hand, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this evening's first phase, we can rest the great knuckle at the, let's see if I can get my, there we go. We can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger, upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap. Doing this could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. Come, let us demystify enlightenment. What if enlightenment was nothing more than mastering Gautama Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what do we mean by mastery? Simply getting so good at it that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. This is probably why the Buddha taught in the Satipatthana Sutta that it is possible to master this path in but 7 days. Here's a helpful hint. Our inhalations practice of mindfulness, the 7th fold, and our exhalations practice of meditation, the 8th fold, are all that we have to do. Practice this every 12 hours or so, and the remaining 6 folds will take care of themselves. Let's see how this plays out right now. Let us view mindfulness and meditation through the lens of neuroscience after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Please chant with me. The nudity of the octuple couple sporting in tantric union reminds us of the vulnerability so crucial to mindfulness. Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. Since the Neolithic Revolution, human society has conditioned us to be so rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel that when even a minority of folks try to follow Gautama's example and be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, they're met with a violent opposition. So it should come as a little surprise that when rigid folk try to teach others how to meditate, they wind up imploring them to practice focus and analysis. The problem is the only parts of our brain, the only discrete neural pathways that can perform those tasks are the medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. The problem is that when we rely on these mechanisms, or I should say when we overtrain these mechanisms, which really doesn't take much, we wind up triggering our almond-sized amygdala, which functions as the seat of anxiety and aggression, which are the opposite things most people want out of meditation. But I've got some good news for you. Neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex comprise the entirety of our central nervous system. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired by evolution to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us notice in a very special way, to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Notice notice what? Notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now, this seems like a whole bushel of things to do. Is there an easy and even elegant way to practice them? Yes. Silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, and your cerebral cortex will cooperate with the sympathetic nervous system. But what are we to do with all these things that we notice? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. What is it that we release? We release our resistance to the presence or absence of whatever it is that we noticed during our previous inhalation, to the point that what we noticed could feel literally impermanent and figuratively as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the hand? Once again, this seems a bit difficult to do. How do we manage it? Silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, and our cerebral cortex could cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system. And this is exactly how both mindfulness and meditation as a team root us in the literal impermanence and figurative emptiness that help us to let go. And now, together as a team, let's meditate. By the way, if you're going to sit cross-legged on the floor, I do not recommend the full lotus position. Try the quarter lotus position, where one shin is just resting on another. Now, you don't want to turn out from your knees. Your knees are just hinge joints. Instead, you want to turn out from your hips, because those are ball sockets. Don't force it. Just position your legs close to each other and let time and gravity do the work for you. Work smarter, not harder. Over the many centuries since the Buddha walked the earth, there have been many commentaries of commentaries. And so it is not uncommon for many meditation teachers to spend more time studying commentaries than the actual literal words attributed to the Buddha. It's always important to work with a teacher who can trace everything back to the Buddha's teachings. Good evening, and welcome to the second of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you wish to count 96 inhalations, you'll want to multiply this set by 8. On our left hand, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. 5, 6, 7, 8. To keep track of this, our second phase, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Thus, we could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Please chant with me. The translucence of the young father and mother depicted in paintings reminds us of meditation's experience of impermanence and non-graspability. Silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during your inhalation, and you will notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during your exhalation, and you will find yourself releasing your resistance to either the presence or absence of that which you noticed during the previous inhalation. The second benefit of playing with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so is that we calm the tyranny of our amygdala's anxiety and aggression. Though they may still be present, they will have less and less control over your choices and utterances and deeds. And this is important if we were to escape the tyranny of cruel intentions, cruel communication, cruel conduct, and commerce that is as competitive as it is cruel. So, together as a team, let's meditate. Every time we inhale, we are already wired to generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head. Every time we exhale, that traction is already wired to relax. Bear that in mind and cooperate with your body thusly, and you'll add an extra dynamism to your meditation. We come now to the third of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our left finger. Whoops, I did it again. Beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you wish to gather 96 inhalations, all you have to do is multiply our 12 inhalations by 8 sets. 1, 2, upon our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. To keep track of this, our third phase, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so, you can gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the heart region of our chest. Let's chant. The beauty of sky blue kuntu zongpo and cloud white kuntu zongpo yam reminds us of the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived. When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we can't help but notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. When we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we wind up releasing our dread or desire for whatever it is we noticed during our previous inhalation. Let's try this again. We wind up releasing our resistance to the presence or absence of whatever it is we've noticed during our previous inhalation. So for instance, if we notice something desirous, we have a resistance to its absence. And we notice something dreadful, we have a resistance to its presence. So I suppose one could say that as we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we can feel ourselves releasing our resistance to whatever dreadful... we can find ourselves releasing our resistance to the presence of whatever dreadful things we notice during our inhalation, as well as our resistance to the absence of whatever desirous things we notice during our inhalation. Practice this mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, and you will experience the stimulation of your anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of your mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the root of compassion and love. This is crucial, for you see, 50% of the Buddha's path pertains to loving kindness. Kindness of intention, kindness of communication, kindness of kindness of conduct, and commerce, both kind and cooperative. This is exactly why the late Tulku Thondup insisted that one cannot, well, I guess it's not here, one cannot focus or analyze oneself out of crankiness and into empathy. He insisted that the highest love is the spontaneous, uncontrived, and effortless fruit of mindfulness and meditation. And as an aside, I would like to remind you that compassion is not necessarily what you feel, it is what you will. So you can feel cranky, but still choose to do the right thing. If that choice is an impossibility, that doesn't speak well for your spiritual practice. So the litmus test of our mindfulness and meditation is how joyful and loving and flexible it makes us. So right now, together as a team, let's meditate. And remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. We come now to the fourth and final phase of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following way, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can multiply this by 8 sets for a total of 96. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 12 repetitions each. 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 repetitions each for a total of 96. To keep track of this, our fourth phase of tonight's practice, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger in our lap. Palms up in our lap. Doing so, we could gently invite the real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at the crown region of our head. Please chant with me. The stability with which Kaibu Samanta Bandara sits, and the abandon with which Cloud White Samanta Bandri sports, remind us of the effortless effort of centered spontaneity. When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we can't help but vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. When we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we can't help but release our resistance to the absence of that which we find desirable. And we also release our resistance to the presence of that which we find dreadful, specifically during our previous inhalation. So, we talked about how simply training in mindfulness and meditation lends itself to greater expertise in kind intention, kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce. That's great. But how are we to know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it? So here's something which I think is just wild. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more we will notice our choices and utterances and deeds flowing from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. No, not scattered spontaneity. Not the scattered spontaneity that might occur after your fifth shot of espresso, but the centered spontaneity of mindfulness and meditation, the centered spontaneity of our Buddha nature. Buddha nature is a charming Iron Age way of describing the fact that we have 3 neurological components that make possible mastery of the Buddha's path. We have our sympathetic nervous system, which makes possible mindfulness. We have our parasympathetic nervous system, which makes possible meditation. And we have our anterior cingulate gyrus, which makes possible empathy. Now, typically, we're stuck in our prefrontal cortex. But playing with this and playing with ease get us back into our viscera, into our flow state, where we can become the spiritual superhero that we were born to be. So together, as a team, let us practice mindfulness and meditation for our final bit this evening, as ominous as that might sound. And allow me to remind you that every time we inhale, we are already wired to experience a gentle vertical traction between our tuchus and our kepa, between our tush and our head. And during every exhalation, that traction could relax. I sincerely hope you found this to be helpful. And if you feel that I've earned it, you could give this a live stream, a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.